It's early February and it's 60 degrees in Washington, D.C. And it's supposed to snow tonight.
Step in front of a runaway train, just to feel alive again. It's so far away. It's so far away.
All right, everybody. So let's take a look at what I've been kind of doing here in the back window to prep for the installation of the 500 by 300 Arctic Tern window. Okay, so this is the general layout. Now the problem is, as many of you guys know, is there's nothing level in this van. There's no straight line that you can use to gauge off of. So what I did is I leveled out a line up here, and then I came off right angle so I would know strictly where the middle of the door is, and I can use that for reference, and I can use that level line up there. And then what I did is I cut out a window outline, and then I drew a line down the center so that I can center up those lines on top and bottom so that I know that the window is centered in the door. Now that may seem a little bit like overkill, but the last thing I want is my windows being crooked in the back of the van. So a little bit of extra work in the beginning saves you a big hassle in the end. We prepped this window the other day, and I'm in my 1 millionth different outfit. I apologize for that, but that's just how things work. I get things done 20 minutes, an hour at a time, whatever time I have available here on the van. So we use the outline. We've outlined the window right here. We've prepped all the gear. So now I'm a little bit nervous about this, but we're going to cut this out and try to put in this window. Okay, so I cut it out. It was actually a little easier than I thought it would be, which is scary. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take a file. We're going to go around the edge of it with the file to make sure that all the burrs are off. Going to wipe it down real good, clean it off with these isopropyl wipes, prime it, and then put the window in. And so what I'm doing right now is, as you can see over my shoulder, I've already finished one of the windows. And now I'm putting up the second window. So what I used for the frame was just a 2x4 that I ripped. And the reason why I used a 2x4 was because I need a little bit more space on the side to hold up the framing that I'm going to do in the window, because I can't put support boards the same way I can on the wall. And so what I did is I used construction adhesive to put it onto the van, and then put the window in, and then you got to use magnetic screwdriver. Do not use an electric tool to put your screws in. And then one of the finishing touches is that you have to use some anti-seize, or you should use some anti-seize on the bolts. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting a little bit on the tip here, and then put it on the screwdriver, put in the hole. I'm just starting them all, and then I'll go back through and I'll slowly tighten all of them kind of counterclockwise going across so that it's even tight all the way across. All right, there you have it. They are in. I know some people say they would have preferred to have slightly bigger windows, and I understand, but with the geometry on the inside of the door, and that's what's you really can't tell until you're actually putting these in, because of how this frame goes. See how far this sticks out right here? It doesn't allow you to put, Arctic Tern's next size window up, which is 500 by 450, or 400 by 500, should I say. So it's pretty much, you have to go with the 5x3, or you have to put an OEM window in there or something else. And I wanted a double pane window. I do a lot of winter sports, and so I want to make sure the insulation is good, and so that's why we went with these. Regardless, I think it'll serve its point, let light in, be able to let fresh air in, and I'm really happy with how they turned out. All right, good morning, everyone. It is another overcast, fairly cold, not great morning in Washington, D.C. area. So I'm working on one of the larger windows and kind of cutting out the frame, and I think I'm going to change up from what I did last time. Last time I just built an actual rectangle frame around it, which worked out fine. It was for the smaller windows that are in the back. I think this time I'm actually going to cut it out to the shape of the window not have as much wood protruding around the side. There's just less room in these big window cutouts, and I really want to hug it tight on there so that I make sure that I have a good seal. I've already outlined the frame right here, and then what I'll do is I'll come and I'll clip these corners right here so it doesn't protrude out as much, so that it gives me more room inside the van. So I'm going to cut that out right now and then get everything prepped. All right, so I cut out the first sheet, and I'm going to use it as a template to template out the second sheet. And what I'm going to do is, this is 3/4 and this is half, so that's my 1.25 spacer, and I'm going to glue them together, let them sit. And I'm using a jigsaw, and I know a lot of people, I have a router, a lot of people just use a router to cut it out. I'm not as confident with the router as I am with the jigsaw. The jigsaw just takes a little bit more effort, but I feel like I make less mistakes with it. So choose your own weapon as far as it comes to cutting it out, but I personally am using the jigsaw. This is the third window that I'm putting in. It's the largest window, but I wanted to show you the frames that I'm making. I've seen folks do this out of 2x2s, and I've seen them do it out of metal. But what I did, I decided to do it straight out of a 2 foot by 4 foot, 3/4 inch boards. The whole purpose of me doing it this way is I think that this will spread the pressure out evenly over the entire window and the frame. And I think the wood will, over time, conform better to the metal on the van. I was afraid that if I had done it just in a normal square, that it would be weakest in the corners, and I didn't want any weaknesses on it. I wanted it to be malleable, but not weak in any given spot. So my hypothesis is that this will work. Time will tell. All right, now that that's done, I'm just going to sand it down the edges just a little bit, and then I have some basic kind of Rust-Oleum primer. I'm gonna primer them, let that sit. It'll probably take a little bit longer because it's cold out, and then I'm gonna glue them together with some pretty serious construction adhesive that I have. I'm not gonna wait for the construction adhesive to cure, because when I put the window in, it's gonna compress it together anyways. I just want to make sure that it doesn't squeeze out and get into the rubber gasket on the window. So it'll be just a light layer just to keep those two boards together until we can get it in, and the actual compression of the window will finish kind of the curing process. Okay, so after you cut it the part of the way through, so see, I've just cut a couple lines here. I'm gonna go back with duct tape. I'm gonna duct tape the back side of this so that as I cut it, it reduces the vibration. It's not gonna flop like this and then potentially fall out. Okay, let's see if it fits. So it looks like there's one spot on this side where I just need to go a little bit wider where it's catching, just kind of like right here. So I'll just cut that out real quick. Well, it's 60 degrees in Alexandria, Virginia right now, but it's supposed to snow tonight. So I spent most of the day putting the big window here on the driver's side, and then let's take a walk around the van. And boom, door side is in too. So first two big stages, both windows on both sides. Couldn't be more pumped. Not looking forward to the snow tomorrow. And this is why I put those windows in yesterday.